Welcome back to the Chatty Ramble podcast. I am your host or hostess, Caroline Mitchell, and my guest in this session is Alison of the Stone Spirit blog. There we go. I got it right.
You did.
So Alison has this is we're not going to get this in one session, I don't think, because we've had a quick chat before we came on. And her knowledge and wisdom is vast across all kinds of areas with spirit of stones and trees and crop circles and the consciousness within. I think I've got that right. Have I explained that concisely?
Yeah, I'm a crystal medium, which means I'm a medium. I can actually see spirits. But early on in my awakening, when I was taking mediumship classes, and at that time I was waking up a lot with words in my mouth. And one morning I woke up and I was saying, "You're not working with the stones enough." So I started to lean into the stones and realize that they are conscious, that there is consciousness. And I mean, most people realize that there's consciousness in all things, right? You talk to dragons. There are folks who talk to trees. Well, I talk to rocks. So the work that we're trying to do is to sort of introduce people to the energy that's around them, because there's energy all around us. We just might not be aware of it, and what the purpose of that energy is and how to work with it.
Okay. So going with crystals, I should have actually prepared, shouldn't I? Okay, I've got this on my desk, so I'm
You
going to
have
ask
lots
you.
of crystals. You're totally prepared.
Yeah, but they're not on my desk currently. So
Ah,
now a girlfriend, I don't know if you can see it, gave me this. So it's a painted pebble. So
yeah,
do these carry like consciousness too?
they do. It's in so what they've told me is that all stones, let's see, all stones are crystals, and not all crystals are stones. which is
Okay.
which is very interesting. And there are etheric crystals, which I'm not even gonna go there because I don't understand it myself yet. But yes, they do have consciousness. They can teach you. They also are incredibly grounding. So if you're feeling ungrounded, a stone like that can really help you sort of settle down and be more grounded and be more in your body. Those of us who do this work have a tendency to kind of float outside of our bodies quite a bit. So having that stone with you is a really good thing.
So how do you know which crystals you're going to be working with? What do they say to you? What does it look like? What does it
It,
feel like?
so during my awakening, I was guided to take a class in crystals. And in the very first class, I realized I was actually seeing the spirit of Moonstone. And she looks like a 1970s flower child. So the kind who would put flowers and guns. And so after they told me to sort of that I wasn't working with the stones enough, I started sitting down with every stone in my collection and kind of just asking it, what do you want to say to me? And sometimes they look really specific. Sometimes they just they look kind of amorphous, but it's as if you were talking to a loved one in spirit. It looks like a spirit to me. Um, and so the things that they told me when I first started working with them, well, for example, one of them is a piece of quartz that I picked up in a field in California, in Northern California. And it was sort of sitting there winking at me, and it was very white, and there was nothing else around, and I just felt like I needed to go pick it up. And when I picked it up, I came home, I cleaned it, and I sat down with it, and I said, "Why did you want to be picked up?" And it said, "So you can know that help can come from unexpected places." Which was sort of, and that was sort of the beginning of me realizing there was wisdom, in these stones. And I asked her what else she wanted to tell me, because she felt female to me. And she showed me men in helmets that were kind of curved. and they were carrying spears and pennants, like red pennants. They were all on horseback. And I could hear the jingle of bridles, and I could hear the snap of pennants in the wind. She was showing me conquistadors in California, and I thought that was so strange. She also showed me people in sort of buckskin clothing, like brown clothing, Native Americans. And I realized that the ridge that I had found her on in Northern California, it was in the San Francisco Bay Area, extends about 30 miles down to the San Jose Mission, which is one of the 21 missions that the Spanish created in California. And it was built on, that mission was built on land that had been inhabited on for countless generations by a specific Native American tribe. So she was introducing herself to me. It was like, hey, I'm
Oh, I gives me
here. Isn't that
shivers.
interesting? Yeah. The second stone that I spoke to was pyrite, a very chatty stone. He'd be excellent on your on your podcast. And I asked him what he wanted to show me, and he showed me men in like these fancy black embroidered outfits, and he showed me very high stepping horses, and I heard vaquero, and I heard paso fino, and then they showed me Catholic priests on a procession down a medieval street, and they showed me a finger bone, and I
Oh,
heard relic. And so a vaquero is a Spanish cowboy. A paso fino is a naturally gaited, very high stepping horse from Spain. Um, there is a church in Avila, Spain, that has a relic, and it happens to be a saint's finger bone. So he was like saying, I was mined in Spain. That's where pyrite is mined of many places. So they were like, I mean, they were kind of like just introducing themselves to me. And that's what it looked like for a long time.
wow.
I
So,
know.
so can anybody do that? How do you, well, you need to be a medium, I guess, but do you teach people how to do this?
I don't teach people how to do this, but my mentor does. Her name is Krista Mitchell, and she is an incredible teacher. Um, anybody can connect with the consciousness of the stone. You may experience it differently. You may not see spirits the way I do. You may see light codes, which is actually how Krista experiences them. You may see something completely different. You may get feelings. It all depends on what your clairs are. You know, if you're clairsentient, for example, and you feel, and I think you are.
Yeah, I'm claircognizant more than anything else. Yeah, all my
Yeah.
clairs drop in and out, but my main clair is claircognizant.
Mine is clairaudience, and so I started hearing things, but I'm also clairvoyant, and then claircognizance developed, which is very confusing. But depending on how you experience, energy, and how you take in information from the energy field will be, you'll work with your primary one. So you may feel things from your stone. A friend of mine gets no information visually and no information auditory.
Auditory.
Through the ear, through the
Yeah. Yeah,
ears.
I know. Audibly,
But
auditory. Yeah, one of
but
those.
she feels. So, I mean, I can
Mm.
hold a stone and I can get information. She'll hold a stone, the same stone. You go, oh, I feel that in my liver. So we're all very different. My guides have been kind enough to lead me on several very interesting journeys and then told me to record them for people. So I've recorded, and I have like 4 up right now on my YouTube channel, because I'm not really a YouTube person. But they've told me to share those journeys with people. So there's one on how to connect with a crystal. There's a journey on how to connect to a past life through a crystal. There's one on healing using the energy of Jupiter, the
Wow.
planet.
Wow.
And there's one I just released because it felt like the time for it. How to find inner peace with flowers, because the energy of flowers is the energy of purity and freshness. So, yeah,
We could all do that little bit of inner peace at the minute, couldn't we, with the world in turmoil as it is currently?
a very, very interesting world at the moment. And that is
Mm.
actually why they said, okay, today's the day to release that one. I'm like,
What a
okay.
fantastic idea.
Yeah.
So, I lied because I do have a crystal. I do have a crystal on my desk. Oh, what was that? So I've got my rather
Oh,
large
yes.
fluorite
Uh,
dragon.
yeah.
Now, he feels galactic to me.
Yeah.
So do I just sit and hold it and see what comes?
Yeah. I
That's sort of
mean,
how it works.
well, that pretty much, yeah. The the consciousness of crystals, I always think of it as being like four levels. Like the first
Okay.
level is the overall crystal consciousness, which you can think of like an archangel. They told me that Source, I have chills on this. Source partitioned itself to and asked this partition, which was the crystal consciousness, to create tools that people could use, and that's
Okay.
what crystals are. Then so so there's the overall crystal consciousness like an archangel, and then the next level down is what it created by separating itself further into the colors and the elements that create things like amethyst. So we have the different stone types. That's the next level, is the type of the fluorite consciousness. There is one.
Yeah.
And then the next level down is when the stone breaks off, or it's mined. It starts to have experiences of its own, and it creates its own personality. Like I mean, it's a waterfall, right? Of creation. But the fourth level, which you're feeling, is connecting to something else. So one of the ways that crystals work for us is they're a consistent vibration. And so our vibration, because of our emotions, is like all over the place. And so the crystal can allow the water in our body to entrain itself to that vibration. Sometimes that vibration is connecting, as yours is, to other beings, other
Mm.
consciousnesses. So you can, I never know who's going to show up. An individual crystal's consciousness can look and feel quite different from that stone type consciousness, which
Okay.
can also look and feel quite different from the overall crystal consciousness, which I experience as a very sort of amorphous being. It just is pure energy. But interestingly, they introduced me to the color consciousness recently,
Okay.
as there is one. And it looks a lot like the way I experience the crystal consciousness, except it's a different color. It's very odd. Yeah, it's very interesting.
I've actually just done the podcast with Jill Cows on color. How
Yes.
weird is that? The synchronicity. You
Okay,
can't
that's
write
amazing.
this stuff, can
That's
you?
amazing. We did a series on color, on how to work with different colors, but back to your dragon, they also connect to the dragon energy and,
Yes, of
different
course.
dragons and the overall dragon energy.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about your particular stone, they told me, is that when a crystal is shaped into something specific, and I will show mine. This is my head. This is a specific, the shaping is generally, there's a specific intention of the person who's shaping it. And so what they've done is they've shaped this skull uh, to have some of the attributes of the human brain. And so crystal skulls record information, they download information, they categorize information. That's a lot of what these skulls do. Yours, because it's a dragon, has
Mm.
been the intention that's gone into creating the dragon. It will connect to dragons for you.
Yeah.
And because intention in our world is everything, right?
Yes.
So they have consciousness together, but with the intention of the creator who's been polishing and smoothing it, that creates something much greater than it was in its rough form.
Interesting. So now my brain has just gone off on a tangent, as it does. So obviously, if you get your rough mind stones,
Mhm.
like I've got a chunk of rose quartz here. That's just a
Yep.
chunk of rose quartz.
Yeah.
I say
Yeah.
just a chunk of rose, but it's a piece of rose, which is
It's a
beautiful.
very nice chunk,
It's a
actually.
very beautiful piece of rose quartz. So would a piece of rose quartz that's just been taken as a chunk like this against a smaller tumbled piece, would that have like I'm going to call it a personality? Would it have a different personality?
Well, because they're two different stones, they would have different personalities. But one of the interesting things that, I mean, people often ask this question, is a rough stone more powerful than a polished stone, right? And a lot goes into that. They are simply different tools. So what happens with a rough stone, and I'm just gonna, I don't have a lot. Oh yeah, here's a good one. Piece of quartz also picked up in North Carolina. What happens with the shape of these stones, and you can do the same thing with this came this way. This is a rough Lemurian.
I said
The
that's Lemurian, isn't it? I was about
It's
to
a
say that's you see
Lemurian,
the
yes,
stripes
yeah,
on it.
good for
Yeah,
you, yeah.
yeah.
The energy is directed through these different points. So those who are healers primarily, but those who are clairsentient are feeling the energy from all of these different points, right? And so they often feel like these are more powerful because they feel more from them. But here's, I mean, let's find another. Okay, here's mine. Yeah. So this is a teeny little, my
Oh,
own
he's
teeny little,
beautiful.
yeah, he's adorable. Um, the the polishing uh, creates an effect that diffuses the energy, right? Those sharp things are taken off, and so the energy is more diffuse coming from the stone. It's why you feel, if you're clairsentient, a little bit more from this, because there's just a lot, the energy is coming out in really specific areas, but they're not, one's not better than the other. They're just different tools for different purposes. And then, of course, then you have the whole class of stones that have been, shaped in a specific pattern, and that connects differently and that acts differently.
Okay, so my next question, and I'm probably getting into I'm probably getting into semantics now. So there was and you're probably aware, there was a carver around a few years ago. He's no longer with us, called Raven. Is that right?
I don't know.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm not familiar.
And Raven was his particular certainly dragon heads and things were a very Pacific
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
specific.
Specific.
And I believe that's possibly one of a raven carving. So
Mm-hmm.
there's dragon carvings that are coming out now that I've seen a lot of them, and they're just hideous, and they're mass produced in China.
Yeah, yeah.
I won't touch them with a barge pole, and because I am so fussy. I'm so fussy about anything that's dragon related and way it's carved, looks, whatever. So again, if it's like a mass produced carving from a factory in China, does that have an impact, do you think, or do you feel on the integrity of the stone?
Yeah, yeah. Um, intention, intention
That's what I
is
was
what
thinking.
it's all about, right? I mean, we can create with our minds, right? That's what we're doing. We're creating, we have a field of energy, and we align the heart with the mind, we are able to manifest in ways that are incredibly positive. You can also manifest in ways that aren't very positive. And so I have come across stones that were shaped, a skull that I'm thinking of, that was just wrong. Just completely wrong. I have also seen stones that are in rough form that are also just wrong, just messed up. And here's an example of how to understand the consciousness of a stone. So there's another stone was a green jasper. And I said, this is, again, I was sitting down with the stone and asking it what it wanted to say to me. And it showed me elephants and these weird deer-like mammals that had long horns, gazelles. I had to look it up later. I heard the word temples, but then it showed me sick children and crying mothers, and I was in shock. And by this point, I knew that they were trying to tell me where they came from, right? Because they were trying to explain to me that they were real, right? That there was something real here for me to grab onto. Um, the and a place where you can find elephants and temples and gazelles is India. And there are three mines in India that where they mine green jasper, and 2 of them are near Bhopal, which is the site of the worst industrial disaster and has permanently affected the health of the people in the region. They pick up energy. They just like we do, right? They pick up energy from us. And there are times when I have been drawn to a stone because it needed something, like it needed kind of a rock foster home. People give me stones, and then the right person comes into my orbit and I give it to them. But they needed extra special clearing. Any stone coming out of China, I have found, needs a lot of healing, a lot of clearing. So you might have to put it in a pot with smoke for like 5 hours before it feels right if you're sensitive. But it may not, the job it wants to do may not be the job that you want it to do, right? If you're trying to connect with stone, and your purpose in buying the skull is to connect to dragons, and it's been created in a way that it doesn't have the same purpose. They all create a mission for themselves. You just sit down and you kind of ask it how it wants to work with you. It might not be the stone that you connect with a dragon through. It might be the stone that you put on your heart, whenever you need to balance your heart chakra. It could be lots of different things. I have 2 pieces of turquoise, two turquoise necklaces, and one of them connects to a gentleman called, I call him grandfather. Because that's what he looks like. He looks like, a Native American grandfather. And his job, what he wants to do, is to show me in my body what might be a problem in yours. So if he comes up in a reading with people, I can feel in my body where your issues might be. And then we can talk about, things that he might suggest. He has also sung and danced for people. Little Native American dance and chanting going on in my head while I'm talking to the person. The other turquoise necklace, he connects to the shamans of the world. All turquoise is healing. I asked him what the shamans were, and he said the shamans are the healing energies of our world. They're not necessarily the people. Shamans are healers, right? They work with the healing energies, and that's what he called the healing energies, was the shamans. And so every stone it chooses for itself whatever mission. That mission is going to be some part, some facet of the overall stone mission. And stone, the stones are really multifaceted. There are so many different things that they say the stones can do. What I've tried to do is understand how each stone wants to work with me. And that would be my suggestion to anybody who is picking up a stone and isn't able to really connect with it in the way that one might want, your Chinese dragons, for example. But it does have, to your question, the intention of the creator has a huge impact. Also the consciousness of the creator, how advanced they are spiritually, where their energy is, that has a huge impact, because at its core, everything is energy.
Yeah, so discernment. So it's about discernment, isn't it? So when you're in your rock shop choosing your crystals, it's real discernment, and actually tuning in to maybe what you need, not necessarily what you want, as we know how the universe works, and dragons.
Yes,
you get what you need, not what you want.
Yeah.
But also, is that crystal coming to you because it needs something, rather than initially, rather than necessarily giving you something? So that it actually changes the entire dynamic of how we view and work with crystals. That's just blown my mind, because I'm now looking at, I've got a room full of rocks. I've collected over like a 30-year period.
Yeah.
And I'm now thinking, okay, I actually need to think about each of these pieces as individuals, rather than a collection.
That's absolutely right. So folks who are looking for a crystal, I mean, it's totally fine to know that you want to go get a piece of amethyst. That's absolutely fine. You walk into a store or you look online and you choose the ones that draw you, right? And then when there's something about that, often it's the first one you see. It's the first one you notice, not the first one you see. But you walk in and you're like, there's the basket of amethyst, I'm going to walk over. And the first one that really draws your attention is usually the right one for you. If you're trying to make up your mind between a couple different ones, then you just sort of pick up both. And one will generally just feel better in your hand, like physically, or it just feels more right. And that is about discernment, yes. Or you walk into a store and you have no purpose for, you're open to buying something, but you have no idea. Something is going to draw your attention from across the room, which has happened to me actually. And you go, what's that glinting over there? And you walk over and there's a big honking piece of crystal in the store, and you can't take your eyes off of it, right? You're so entranced by it. That's the stone for you. I do find stones that come to me because they need something, like this one right here. There's something wrong with this stone, and I think it's another Lemurian. I think I figured out what I can do, what I need to do. It's a really big clearing. It needs a lot of clearing, a lot of healing. And then you can work with it. But I would say that any stone that you are purchasing, you just spend time clearing it beforehand. The other part of your question is, how do you work with them as individuals, right? Well, your body needs something different every day. Every day our energy is different. And so the best way to work with your collection of stones is to walk over to them and see who wants to work with you that day, right? And it will be the stone that has a message for you, or healing for you, or something that you need from that stone's vibration. One of the things that we do on a monthly basis is energy forecasts. Here's your galactic story. So one of the stones connected me to a set of Andromedans who call themselves Healing Light. I just call them the Andromedans because it's just too much, right? But they, after a lot of conversation, a lot of sort of checking into their energy and trying to figure out if this was a group that, was aligned with the light, did I want to work with them? We started doing energy forecasts every month. And as a part of that energy forecast, we offer stones that you can work with in that month to help manage or take advantage of, or as of right now, get a little healing away from the energy of the month. And so there are stones you can work with, with the overall energy, and stones you can work with for your own energy. And it's really about, as you say, discernment, asking which stone wants to work with you, and then just sort of intuitively choosing that stone. Or if you're choosing one of the stones from the energy forecast, we always say you can wear it or carry it or meditate with it. Sometimes they have me sleep with them. There's a lot of different ways you can work with them, but that can help you sort of manage the energy of the month. And the energy of this particular month, they said, was crash, bang, boom.
Okay. Yeah.
Which we've seen.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So your energy of the month that you do, is that online? Is it through a group? How does that work? And can people join you on that? Can they sign up? How does it work?
Yeah, so I have a website called The Stone Spirit, www.thestonespirit.com. The blog is free. I usually post twice a month, because, and I don't spam people. I just, if you give me your email address and you send, you sign up for posts, I'll send an email each time I post, which is usually about twice a month, and with a little overview of what the post is. And you can go to the post and read it, or you can go to the blog and read things about crop circles.
Yes, I want to come on. I want to circle back the crop circles, but I think we'll do that in another video. Because where I live, so I'm off on a tangent again, sorry. Where I live on the Hampshire-Wiltshire border. And there are so many crop circles in the summer throughout Wiltshire.
Yeah.
So I'll be really interested on your take on the crop circles in another video. Anyway, back to how people can find you and your energy of the month.
Yeah, the energy forecast of the month, it's on the blog. So the blog is thestonespirit.com. You go there, and the forecast for the month will be on the homepage. It's just a blog, so all of the things that that we're posting on, and it's sorted. You can look at different topics. You can look at the nature realm or the earth realm, so you can read about flowers and trees if you want to. Read about different kind, the energy of different kind of crystals and how to work with them, the energy of metals and how to work with them.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I don't know anybody else who's doing this.
sorry, say that again.
I don't know anybody else who is doing this.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's very fun. It's occasionally very surprising. When they told me that they were gonna give me information on the role of quartz in the land, I found very interesting. So there's a whole post on the energy of quartz.
Wow.
Yeah, which I think you will find interesting. I'll send it to you afterwards.
Please, thank you. So thank you so much for joining me. We'll make sure we've got all of Alison's links below for you. So sign ups for email, website, your blog, all that kind of thing. We'll make sure we've got all your links below. And we need to talk again, especially about the crop circles.
This has been delightful. I have to tell you, the dragons found me before I found you, and I found you because of the dragons. So
That's often how it works. The dragons find people, then go, right, now go and find Caroline. And I'm just eternally grateful that
Oh,
other people are now doing dragon work too, because it felt huge when I was carrying it on my own for a good few years before I found other people that could do it. So
I
it's
can only imagine.
amazing that the dragons are now filtering through the collective consciousness and
I
other
cannot
people
tell
onto.
you how wonderful the deck is, the Oracle card deck. I use it all the time.
Oh,
I
thank
use it all
you.
the time. And work the exercises in the book, those are fabulous. So yeah, you've done a service.
Thank you very much. Alison, it's been an absolute joy to talk to you. So we'll put all of Alison's links down below for you, and I will see you in the next Chatty Ramble.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Bye for now.